see like a modulation, or what key do we start in? Let's more to the point. What key?
E minor.
We're starting in E minor, right? We know because one sharp from that first harmony there is E minor chord. Now, when we get to the double bar, where do we end up?
Looks like we're in G.
In G major, right? Because that very last harmony, just before the repeat sign, is a G major chord. And if you want to even back up one chord before that, looking at just the left hand,
That's a D major chord.
that's a D dominant seventh chord, pretty much. Right? So just before we get to that, there's no F sharp in there, but that's in the soprano. And so we know. So we know we end up in G. Okay, now then after the double bar, we're in G, and everything looks cool. And then before we get to the next double bar, where do we end up?
C maybe? Oh no, we're back in
No,
E minor.
we're back in E minor, yeah. So this particular excerpt starts in E minor, modulates to G major, then after the double bar starts in G major and modulates back to E minor.
Wait, is the bottom staff in treble clef all the way through?
Mm-hmm.
No, it switches to bass clef. You see in the
Oh,
the
there
first
it is.
measure,
Okay,
second
got
beat?
it, got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So, oops, let me, gotta focus this thing a little better. Instead of analyzing every chord, which we could do, but instead of doing that, let's just look for the modulations. So we know that we're going from E minor to G major. So let's see if we can find a point when it's kind of ambiguous. So if we start here and we say, okay, well this is E minor, right? The first measure is definitely E minor. The second measure, like with this D sharp still here, and the F sharp and B and A, that's all 5, in fact we would say 5, 4, 3, right? And then it goes back to E minor, and then we've got this other harmony with the D sharp, then E minor, and we still see some more D sharp. So we're still pretty much in E minor. And then here, still E minor, right? Now here, what's this chord here? In the
Like
first measure of the second system.
A minor?
An A minor chord, which in E minor would be what?
The fourth.
The fourth, right? So let's just stay right there. And that would be a 4, 6, because the C is the lowest sounding pitch that we hear. Now in the measure after that, that's when we start getting this D, C, A, and the F sharp up there, which is clearly dominant seventh, right? So by that time we've modulated. So we need to find, we got to think that we're already in G major, so we move back one to find the common chord, which in this case would be A minor. Now does that work in terms of our modulation? What would the 4 chord in E minor become in G major? It'd be what? 2, right? So this chord we would reinterpret as a 2, 6, and then this would become 5, 5, 7 actually, and this would become 1. And this is the way you notate modulations, by the way, when you're doing the analysis. So you put the chord in the original key, and we wouldn't really, so if we had done the analysis from the start, we would say this is 1, this is 5, 4, 3, and so on. We wouldn't need to put E minor there, right? So that's all done, and we got to this 4 chord here. So the 4 chord, we draw the bracket, we put the new key, and we put its new interpretation, and then the next chord is up at the same level as the original stuff. Okay? And that's because if you had several modulations, you don't want to put everything like one level down, one level down. If you had several modulations, you'd end up doing your analysis way below the staff. So once you show the the common chords, then you just go back up to the original level. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Now let's look for the place where it goes back to E minor. So, again, looking at the whole thing and the overview, do you see an indication where it starts really looking like it's gotta be E minor and can't be anything else?
That third measure after the double bar, I think,
Here,
the one before that.
here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the second measure.
That looks like E minor to you?
No, it's the fifth of
I think that's still okay. Well, no, what I was saying is like,
that's the
where
second.
where is it clearly not G major anymore?
After the bass clef.
What are you talking about?
Well, or,
The measure after, so where the G, E, B, E.
I would say even before, like, so when you start getting D sharp at the beginning of this system, it can't be G major anymore, right? I mean, but even if you look, you know, this harmony, that's a B major triad. It's B, D sharp, and F sharp.
So
That's not part of G major. That's the dominant E minor. So right here, you're already in E minor. So in order to find our common chord, we're gonna have to look somewhere else.
So before we have the D, there's a D chord on the last measure of the second step. Yeah.
Here,
Uh-huh.
that's a D chord.
Isn't that?
No, I
Oh, that's
disagree.
not an F sharp, is it?
Well, it is an F sharp.
So isn't that?
So this
that
is
a
treble
dom-
clef,
Isn't that a dominant?
this is F sharp.
Isn't that a
The
D
third-
dominant?
But there's no
third
D,
measure.
there's no D here. There's no D in this whole.
Okay, that one. We can make modulation there.
Yes, we can make modulation there, but how are we gonna make it there? What is,
Okay,
So that's not a D dominant seventh with the A,
It
F
is-
sharp, and C?
it is two chords,
no,
becomes four
because,
chords.
wait, shh, there's no D. We can't have a D dominant seventh, but we can have something else. Right, we've only got the notes, oh man, this thing is running out. F sharp, A, and C. We don't have the D down.
But also, like in the second measure, where we went to the 5-4-3,
It's a 7 in G.
we don't have a B in there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we do.
That's
There
a
it is,
B,
okay.
so, well,
That's a diminished chord.
So I guess it
Sharp
would
bass
be the
C.
diminished two of the E minor then.
right, well, in G major, it would be this, right?
It's a two diminished.
And in E minor, it would be, yeah,
Okay.
2 diminished this, which would work 2 to 5 to 1. Well, so in G major, this is a 7 diminished,
It's not seven diminished, it is two diminished.
not in G major.
Huh?
Not in G, we're in G major.
Okay,
So it's F sharp,
So this
F
is
sharp,
in G
A, and
major,
C.
this is 1, this is 4, and
It's not
this
an A chord, it's
is
an
a
F sharp
7
chord.
diminished. It's,
no, that one is five, it's D.
what's D?
Hold on 1 second.
There's no D in there, so
This
it's
is- this is
just
treble
F sharp, A,
clef.
and C.
Treble clef, okay?
Treble clef, so it's A, F sharp, and C.
Okay, 1.
If there was a D somewhere, it could be a D7, but there's no D, so it's the F sharp diminished.
Oh, I'm going to G minor, can you imagine?
G minor.
Oh,
So,
I love the ending.
you love the ending?
Yeah,
Okay.
that is so cool.
but come on, still, that one is, isn't it A minor?
Here?
Yeah,
No.
it is still treble clef.
Still treble clef, so A,
A, C.
F, A, C, and F sharp.
Oh, shit. Oh,
F
yeah,
sharp.
Because he
We're
doesn't
looking
see
for-
the F sharp in the.
We're looking for notes that aren't.
I'm looking at the E.
Yeah, well, okay, so in addition to musical flexibility, you also can't be just like going off into outer space either.
Yeah.
So in other words, read what is actually on the page.
Yeah, read what's actually on the page,
No,
yeah.
no, it's okay.
No, well, no, actually, I do understand where you're coming from, because there is a tendency in analysis or in writing to kind of look ahead, to kind of think ahead and anticipate what might be coming, and that's actually a good thing. But you can't anticipate yourself into the wrong answer.
Oh, yeah.
And the point I was going to make though is, so one of the best tricks I've learned in doing this kind of common chord analysis is to look for the place where you're clearly in the new key. You know, look for the point where you can say, yeah, that's definitely E minor. And then go back one chord and you'll probably find the common chord. Or like this one, you know, this is a D dominant 7th. You've got the D here, you've got the F sharp up here, and you've got A and C. So that's just D, F sharp, A, C. It's very clear. So that's when you say, okay, that's got to be G major. So if you look one chord back from that, you'll find the common chord. Normally. I can't say 100% of the time, but it's a good way of getting started on that, okay?
Usually in jazz, when you see a fermata, you go into a little key.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
jazz.